Welcome to the Deep Dive AI Brief, episode 315. Our mission today isn't just to give you the headlines, it's really to cut through that noise, give you the strategic context. We're turning announcements into, well, critical insights.
And it was quite a week. We've got four big threads we need to pull on. First, those huge infrastructure commitments, specifically OpenAI's massive $38 billion compute deal with Amazon.
Then we'll pivot. We'll look at consumer marketing, see why Coca-Cola is, pushing through creative backlash with its new AI holiday ads.
After that, a bit of a reality check. There's a new benchmark from Scale AI. It really quantifies the gap between the hype around AI and its actual ability to automate professional freelance work.
And finally, we'll unpack the infrastructure wars, what's happening with Microsoft, Google, Apple, because often that tells you more about the future than the models themselves.
Okay, let's start with that number. It really sets the tone. $38 billion. OpenAI just locked in a 7-year agreement with Amazon Web Services, AWS for compute.
That is huge. It really is OpenAI's biggest public step so far to, well, diversify away from Microsoft's Azure cloud. For years, the story's been about that exclusive Microsoft partnership.
But last week, they renegotiated that contract, removed the exclusivity clauses, and now OpenAI is clearly shopping around.
So the strategy here is diversification. This deal gets them access to, hundreds of thousands of NVIDIA GPUs in AWS data centers?
That's right. And they're aiming to have it all deployed by late 2026. But it's not just about getting more compute power. It's about resilience, right? Geopolitical resilience, competitive positioning.
Relying entirely on one cloud provider leaves you exposed to their pricing, their regulations, their own strategic aims.
Exactly. And you have to connect this $38 billion to the bigger picture. OpenAI has talked about a $1.4 trillion infrastructure build-out plan that involves Oracle, Google, NVIDIA, Broadcom.
That scale of spending is frankly staggering, and it does make some investors quite nervous. Is this necessary? Or is it a spending spree they just can't sustain?
It's probably a mix. But Sam Altman's confidence seems unshaken. When he was pressed on, the sustainability, the gap between revenue and spending, his message was pretty blunt.
What was it?
He basically told worried investors, if you want to sell your shares, I'll find you a buyer. That signals they see infrastructure as this long-term strategic moat, something they have to build, regardless of quarterly results. They think the value will catch up.
That tension, cost versus capability, is definitely something to keep watching. Okay, let's pivot from the silicon infrastructure to creative applications. Marketing. Coca-Cola.
Right. They're launching their 2025 holiday campaign, and it features AI-generated versions of those classic holidays are coming commercials.
Now, this is their second big try at this, isn't it? The 2024 Christmas ad got quite a bit of backlash from creatives worried about jobs, and frankly, the output was a bit weird.
It was that uncanny valley effect with human characters, so they're pushing through that friction. It signals that, for them, the efficiency gains must outweigh that kind of cultural noise.
And they adapted based on the feedback.
They did. They worked with specialized studios, Silverside, and Secret Level, and the key change to avoid last year's unsettling human characters, swap them for AI-generated animals.
Ah, interesting. So that avoids the whole uncanny valley problem with human faces, which video models still seem to struggle with.
Precisely. It tells you where the quality barrier still sits. Photorealistic, expressive human faces are hard. Stylized animals. Much easier for current tech. But the reason they took the risk again is efficiency.
How much efficiency are we talking?
Get this. They cut production time from about 12 months down to just 30 days.
30 days for a global campaign like that versus a whole year? That's incredible.
It really is. And one of the studios involved, they only needed 5 specialists to generate and refine over 70,000 video clips. Think about the implications for the wider marketing world.
Huge.
Coca-Cola's global VP, Pratik Thakkar, basically said AI is now central to their marketing transformation. The quote was, "The genie is out of the bottle. By next Christmas, AI and video ads might just be normal. Seamless. You might not even notice."
That efficiency is a powerful driver. But let's ground this a bit. Let's look at how that theoretical efficiency holds up against real-world tasks. Time for that reality check from Scale AI.
Yes, Scale AI and the Center for AI Safety published this thing called the Remote Labor Index.
And what's valuable here is it tests AI models not on abstract benchmarks, but on actual freelance projects, real work.
Exactly. They took 240 completed assignments from verified professionals on Upwork, across 23 different work categories. So you have a baseline of what professional human standard looks like.
Okay, so the rubber meets the road. They compared AI outputs to that human standard. What did they find?
It's a pretty humbling number,
Mm-hmm.
especially given all the hype. Even the very best AI systems, they completed less than 3% of tasks at that professional human standard.
Less than 3%. Wow. So conversely, nearly 97% of the AI outputs basically failed.
Failed to meet basic client requirements, yes. The issues weren't necessarily just bad reasoning, it was more fundamental.
Like what kind of failures?
Poor quality, deliverables that were incomplete, files that were just broken or unusable,
Hmm.
and a general inability to handle tasks that required multiple steps or coordination. Academic tests measure, does it know the answer? This measures, can it actually deliver the project?
So where did it actually work? What were the successful tasks?
Only very narrow, sort of siloed things. Simple logo creation, audio mixing if the instructions were really straightforward, generating specific, clearly defined charts.
So the takeaway is there's still a massive gap between the reasoning scores we hear about and actual real-world automation capability.
Absolutely. For anything complex that needs coordination, quality checks, you still absolutely need a human in the loop. Indispensable.
That context is crucial, and it sets up our next section perfectly. If AI struggles so much with coordination, why are the tech giants pouring hundreds of billions into compute? Let's slow down a bit here and unpack this strategic infrastructure war, starting with Apple and Google.
Right. The big news is Apple reportedly commissioning a custom version of Google's Gemini AI model. The goal is to significantly boost Siri's abilities, its responses, its web search.
A custom version of Gemini, running where? How do they handle the privacy angle, which is so core to Apple?
That's the key part.
Right.
It'll supposedly run on Apple's private cloud compute infrastructure. This is important for you, the listener, to understand.
Explain that. Private cloud compute.
It means the sensitive processing happens either right on your device or within an encrypted part of Apple's own data centers. So Google provides the AI smarts, but they supposedly never see your raw queries or personal data. It upholds Apple's privacy promise. Expected launch is March 2026.
That's a huge collaboration between rivals. Meanwhile, Microsoft is making moves everywhere, 3 big ones just this week.
First, a massive $9.7 billion deal. They're buying AI compute capacity from a data center company called IRN. It shows they're not just building their own, they're locking up third-party capacity too, hedging their bets.
And second, they're expanding geographically in a big way. They got approval to ship NVIDIA GPUs to the United Arab Emirates.
And they're backing that up with a $15.2 billion investment commitment in the UAE by 2029. This is strategic, even geopolitical.
More than just data centers, then.
Oh, yeah. The UAE and the Gulf region are investing heavily in AI. Microsoft is planting a huge flag there, building out data centers with over 80,000 NVIDIA GPUs planned. It secures a critical compute foothold in a wealthy, growing region. Could be vital as chip access gets tighter globally.
Okay, and their third infrastructure move.
A multi-billion-dollar deal with Lambda, another AI cloud company, specifically to deploy infrastructure using tens of thousands of NVIDIA's newer GB300 chips.
The GB300, that's the next generation beyond the H100s we hear so much about.
It is, or rather, part of the next wave like the GB200. It combines CPU and GPU tech differently for better memory and speed, designed for the massive models coming next. Microsoft's ensuring they have the cutting edge.
Beyond infrastructure, we're seeing actual enterprise adoption pick up steam. Anthropic, for example.
Yes, they just signed Cognizant, the big professional services firm, as one of their top 3 largest enterprise clients.
And this isn't just a trial run.
No, Cognizant is deploying Anthropic's Claude model across its entire workforce. That's 350,000 employees. It shows real belief in the value these models bring to professional services. It's moving past hype.
But there's pushback, too. The whole issue around training data isn't going away.
Definitely not. A group of major Japanese anime, manga, and game companies wrote formally to OpenAI. We're talking big names, Studio Ghibli, Bandai Namco.
And what's their demand?
They're asking OpenAI to stop using their creative work to train the Sora video models. As these models get better, creators are increasingly concerned about their IP being used without permission or payment to build competing tools.
And just to circle back to that financial pressure we started with, Sam Altman doubled down again this week.
He did. Pressed again on the spending versus revenue gap, he repeated that line, "If you want to sell your shares, I'll find you a buyer." The message is clear. Unwavering commitment to the build-out, even as the costs approach that trillion-dollar vision.
That commitment is something else. Okay, before we wrap, let's quickly run through some trending tools. A lot of these seem designed to bridge that 97% gap the Scale AI benchmark highlighted, helping humans with the complex bits AI can't handle yet.
Good point. Let's start with content creation. Adobe Firefly just released Image Model 5. It adds a prompt to edit feature for easier fine-tuning, plus new video capabilities.
For research, Perplexity added Perplexity Patents, an AI search tool specifically for patents. That's a good example of AI excelling in a narrow, specialized domain.
In video, there's an update to Minimax's model, Hailuo 2.3, focused on better realism and motion.
For developers listening, Cursor has a new coding model called Composer. It's described as agentic.
Agentic, meaning it can supposedly plan, execute, and even self-correct multi-step coding tasks more autonomously,
Yeah.
trying to tackle that coordination problem, but for software.
Then in marketing automation, two tools. Dynares for creating landing pages and ad campaigns.
And Ally, which focuses on creating high-quality presentations using AI. Again, automating a common professional task.
For general video, Lucent lets you create videos just by chatting with AI models, simplifying the process.
And finally, Skyvern. This one is specifically about browser automation, using AI agents to handle complex, multi-step tasks you normally do manually in your browser.
That gives us a pretty full picture, from those huge billion-dollar deals down to specific tools trying to solve today's problems.
So as we finish this deep dive, maybe just pause on the tension we've seen today. You have companies like OpenAI planning literally trillion-dollar infrastructure futures, a huge bet on scale.
Yet, when you test current AI on real-world complex work like that freelance benchmark, it's still struggling. Less than 3% success rate meeting professional standards.
It raises this really fundamental question we need to keep asking. Where's the real bottleneck in scaling the AI's impact? Is it truly just about raw compute power, something another $38 billion might solve?
Or is the harder challenge actually figuring out how we need to change the way we structure complex tasks, how we define them, so that these AI agents can actually succeed reliably?
That tension between the massive investment and that persistent real-world capability gap, that feels like what's going to define the next few years of AI development.
Something to definitely keep thinking about. Thank you for diving deep with us today. If you found these insights useful, please do follow the AI Brief so you don't miss future updates.
And please share this deep dive with anyone else you know who's trying to keep up with the often contradictory pace of AI development.
We'll talk to you next time.